That was my first game ever, was seeing Warren Moon against Lawrence Taylor.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was the first football game I ever went to.
That's incredible.
The Oilers.
The old Oilers. Oh,
Yep.
shit. I need my phone. I guess we got this.
Yeah.
It's going to be really like...
I don't know how you're going to go through the names on fucking...
Oh! You leave that to me, my friend. You leave all the names to me.
The names on fucking the original.
I'm so glad that you told me it was on HBO Max. I was watching it on Tubi. There were like ads and shit. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is not how I want to watch Gojira.
Gojira. Gojira.
So good. Like, you know, we're going to talk about this a little bit, but like, it's in the kaiju film category. And like, technically, King Kong was like the inspiration in a lot of ways for Godzilla. Amongst other things that Americans did.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll talk about all this shit. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll just do the intro here. So,
Yeah, this is...
the hubris of man, Dan. Underwater, atomic, or hydrogen testing, depending on the film, awakens a centuries-old, maybe millennia-old, monster from the depths. This radioactive beast terrorizes cities, creates havoc, and ultimately demands a military response. All this could mean only one thing. We watch...
We're living in Oppenheimer's world?
You're damn right. It's a nice Oscar... It's damn near Oscar sweep.
That's right.
Now, we're living in a kaiju world, Dan. We watched Gojira, Godzilla, and Godzilla on this episode of Retro vs. Remake.
Retro vs. Remake!
It's good shit.
Yo, welcome to Retro vs. Remake, everybody.
Yes, sir.
I am one of your hosts, Dan Farley. You can find me at JerseyDan18 on X or Dan Farley18 on Twitter. And then like, subscribe, all that stuff on wherever you get your podcasts. YouTube, you can find us at Retro vs. Remake, at Retro vs. Remake on Instagram. And with me, my hetero life mate,
Reggie Parker. Reggie Parker, who broke out the Statue of Liberty hat.
Beautiful.
The Godzilla versus the Green...
Godzilla. Oh no, the Green
Ranger. Yeah.
Green Ranger. Which, by the way...
Dragon Zord.
Just a ripoff.
Completely a ripoff.
Completely ripoff.
Completely a ripoff. Yeah, we did a kaiju movie marathon.
Yes.
We watched 3.
I crushed these in the last 12 hours before this podcast.
Yes.
And and by the way, we're recording it on St. Patrick's Day.
Which is awesome.
Which, you know, I figured Godzilla, green, whatever.
Irish people
close
green.
Enough. Irish people green. Not the North. So, figured you got the Godzilla shirt on, I got the green polo.
Yeah.
We're covering both grounds here.
We're blowing smoke
the polo, out. My track jacket.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I mean, we're going to talk about all this stuff, but like, with Godzilla, like, the framework of all these movies, because like we were just talking about the Dune films, and there's a new trailer out for Godzilla versus King Kong.
Yes.
King Kong being, I believe that came out in 1934 or something like that.
Yeah.
Huge inspiration for Godzilla, which came out in the 50s.
Bless you.
Thank you.
My goodness.
It's all that nuclear fallout.
Oh, it's that fallout. It's that radiation.
Yeah. But I was bringing it up because like they had a trailer for Godzilla vs. King Kong, and it looks like a hunk of shit. It looks like the worst thing you could possibly watch, because like they have like Baby Kong and shit like that. I'm like, come on, guys.
Several Baby Kongs.
It's absurd. You know?
Yes, it is absurd. I would like. I know that this is not something we usually do, but if you were to pair this movie, like if you're going to go with like the original,
like
if you're going to pair it with something, everyone would say go with
Old
King
English.
Kong. Yeah.
Oh, so
No, the finest Old English.
Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
Colt 45. Yes. When you pair it with a different movie, like a double feature.
Yeah.
Almost anyone would say watch the original King Kong and the original Godzilla, and like go back and forth. Go read it. Go. I'm just gonna say Godzilla. I'm gonna fuck it up
because it is actually Godzilla.
Yeah.
I mean, like Gojira is a thing in Japan, and I bring up,
but it's also a combination. I was reading that it's a combination between the word for gorilla and whale.
Yeah.
And they put it together to make like, hey, whale gorilla,
exactly,
coming at us.
It's apparently about some guy who was big who liked whale meat. So like they nicknamed some dude the creator's name.
Whole
thing
comes together. So they but that like you would say that, but if you watched like Oppenheimer, then Godzilla.
Oh yeah, that might
that
might make you a little sad.
Yeah, it is sad. Like, anyway, but so what was your first memories with Godzilla?
God,
that's oh my God,
man,
I don't even know.
You know what's so crazy? Like, it's one of those franchises that like obviously is wildly popular.
Yeah, it's been with you your whole life.
My whole life, like for sure, like there was a Godzilla like animated series. It was on Cartoon Network for a while, which introduces to the ridiculous character Godzuki, which is terrible. But like I remember, yeah, like that animated series. There was the one that came out kind of as an answer to the 1998 film that we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah, I do vaguely remember that.
Like,
I vaguely remember that.
Like, because Godzilla turns into like kind of like an anti-hero along the way, and like in some ways defends humanity, but that's a whole another thing. But like, yeah, Godzilla's just one of those things that like is. When did you learn about King Kong? How do you know? Like,
that's I don't know. So like I know mine was when I was a kid. We used to rent King Kong all the time.
Okay.
Like the original 1930s King Kong, and this is like the late 80s. And
Sure.
I don't know why my father didn't just buy a copy of King Kong.
Right.
I don't know, because he would rent it every week. So it was like the progression. We would do that, and then we'd start watching Godzilla. And I guess I remember watching the original and being like, whatever. Like, but then we would watch Godzilla versus Ghidorah and Godzilla.
Oh, that's when it
and then Mecha Godzilla and all that stuff. Like we got really cooking into those King Kong versus Godzilla, and we watched all the. And we really liked them. And I had like, like the classic Godzilla toys, and like I had the one that was like this big.
That's pretty cool.
And then the other one, there were like 3 or 4 where like the tail was missing or the leg was missing, and like we never put them all together. But there was Godzilla was everywhere. Like we had Godzilla everything. Yeah, for the longest time. I loved Godzilla.
I legit watched a shit ton of that.
Shit ton, and then even the game. You remember
the game? I remember the game.
The game King of Monsters.
And I definitely wanted to be Mecha Godzilla.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, dude. Fucking Mothra.
Yeah, fucking Mothra. Yeah, you had to be Mothra. That game was hard as shit. You had to be Mothra to start. Oh, it was so hard.
Well, that too. Like I remember my dad also had some like. At this point, we were past VHS because I know you had the VHS era. Yeah. But like in the early days of DVDs, I definitely know we had like Godzilla versus Mothra. Mm-hmm. You know, like
me too. I used to watch that because even as a young dude, I was fascinated when the bad guy won. Mm-hmm. So Mothra would win. I'd be like, oh shit!
Yeah.
Like
well, like what's great about Godzilla and King Kong, which is why they keep pairing them up. Obviously, to your point, pairing movies. That's always the question. It's like Mike Tyson and Muhammad Ali. Like, who's going to win? Like, who's the best?
Muhammad Ali.
Oh, yeah. And, like, in my opinion...
Although I love Mike Tyson. Let's not be confused. I love Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's on the Mount Rushmore of if people I could beat, then I'd be incredibly starstruck by Mike Tyson.
Well, if you're lucky, he'll kill
Godzilla's on there. Yes. We'll be... I guarantee you, where we're sitting, we'll be watching that exact fight.
Yes, sir.
Exact where we are.
We did the Roy Jones fight.
Yeah,
whatever.
Why not?
Mm-hmm. But like, I am firmly in the camp because King Kong, I like it. Whatever, not really my bag. Godzilla is the king of monsters to me.
Okay.
For me, if you're asking who's winning that fight and they keep doing that shit like it's Freddy and Jason, it's Godzilla all day. I just think he's got more powers. I find him
got more room for your legs.
Yeah,
more power.
And I think he's supposed to be bigger. Canonically.
I think he is. Yeah, I think he is.
But you know, look, King Kong puts up a fight.
Yeah, I think the Kong gets credit because it's the original.
Yeah.
So like you're taking kind of the same thing, and also you're taking like what I love about each one of the original stories is like they're like an allegory for everything else. Like one's an anti-war film and the other's an slavery film. You know, like, and it's like, okay, not that it's like slavery was going on, but basically like a black man's America, like coming to America, forced in, and then when he goes, whatever, you know.
No, I know what you mean.
We're not talking about King Kong, but
yeah, but I know what you mean. Like, that's the interesting thing about Godzilla too. Like this allegory of like, you there's a couple ways to interpret it. Like, it could just be like a warning about nuclear arms in general, or you could say like the sleeping giant of America was like
that's exactly it.
And then like here comes the
pain, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like yeah. And then it's the lingering effects of the atomic bomb, of what it did to that country, and then like even when they're evacuating the city, like a lot of people are like, I'm not doing that again. Yeah. Like I did that. I'm tired of doing that.
Yeah, no.
And it's so like the lingering. It comes from across the sea, comes in, and then no matter what they do, they're not going to be able to stop this radioactive monster.
True.
And then they come up with an idea, but now whatever they do to like stop America, it's going to destroy the world. Right. So that's like
exactly like the which we'll talk about. The answer to stopping Godzilla is not really. It could be like you said, the end of humanity.
The end of humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did like that part too, where the one woman in the first one was like, "Man, I barely survived Nagasaki."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Barely survived. Yes, exactly. It lingers over that like in an incredible way. The same way of like, you know, freed black slave lingers around King Kong. Like it's the same thing. It comes from like a tropical island and brought to this country by it against its will, and so like it's all very poignant. Like the original one when I first like I remember, like I said, I saw the original when I was a kid, and I liked it, but I liked it as a monster movie. Sure. And I had a good time watching it. I'm like, oh, look at him going through the electric fence and blah blah blah. But actually, like, it was even kind of dull for me when I was a kid. Sure. And now I watch it now, I'm like, damn, these guys are onto something. Yeah. Like, they are so... They're using it on such a level that it's brilliant. It's so brilliant.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's so good. And, like, and we were talking off camera about this. It's like the technology wasn't exactly there with, like, what... Comparatively to the other two films, the 98 and the 2017. But still, like, you don't need it to be. Like, you take it for, it's a guy to suit.
Yeah, it's a guy in the suit, it's miniatures, but, like, the scale that they're trying to show. It's like, okay, execution, whatever, right? But, like, the fact that, like, they had the foresight to do this level of, like, destruction.
Absolutely.
You know, and especially, like you're saying, for, like, a population that actually, not that long ago, went through, like, real world, something like that.
Absolutely. Incredible destruction that the world has never seen.
And the fact that, like, that population of people were like, yo, this movie's dope.
It's dope. Everyone's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And, like, I guess we'll get into that. We'll get into the whole thing. But you could see, like, the influence of not only that on, like, monster movies, but on horror movies and stuff like that. But you could see the influence in, like, Jaws. Yeah. The fact that when Godzilla starts, and it fucking starts.
That's true.
It gets right into it. There's Godzilla, like, press play, at minute 17, Godzilla is on the screen. Like, he's there.
Oh, let me introduce everything. We're
okay,
talk
go
about
ahead.
All this shit. All right. So we're talking about Godzilla. The first film came out in 1954. It's a Japanese epic, and I keep using the term kaiju, but like when I really started getting into Godzilla was when I was older, was like going through that genre, like the monster genre, right? Big monster Japanese films are like kaiju films or whatever. But it was directed by Ishiro Honda, screenplay by Takeo Murata and Ishiro Honda, story by Shigeru Koyami, and then starring Akira Takarada, Momoko Kochi, Aki.
Yeah,
Akihiko
we're just gonna apologize before we get into like
and Takashi Shimura. You know, funny enough, you were talking about like not recognizing certain folks. Takashi Shimura, I was actually like watching films like, yo, that looks like that guy.
Yeah.
Because I watched the movie Rashomon recently, and I was like, hey, it looks like the guy from Rashomon, and he is.
He is.
Great fucking actor.
Great.
He's in a lot of shit.
Yeah.
We also watched Godzilla from 1998. Boy, did we. This one's an American monster film, directed and co-written by Roland Emmerich. Let's see. Roland Emmerich directed, screenplay by Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich. Based on Godzilla, of course. And starring Matthew Broderick, John Reno, Maria Patillo, Hank Azaria, Kevin Dunn, Michael Lerner, Harry Shearer. And for whatever reason, they're not saying Vicki Lewis, but I would.
Yes. Absolutely.
And we also, because you boys watch movies. We also watched the 2014 Godzilla film, which is another American monster film. This one was directed by Gareth Edwards, screenplay by Max Borenstein, once again based on Godzilla, and starring, unfortunately, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Kim Watanabe, who's awesome, Elizabeth Olsen, Juliette Binoche, Sally Hawkins, David Strathairn, and Bryan Cranston. All that to say, we watched some Godzilla.
Yeah.
I'll give you a quick synopsis because it's really easy to do it for all the films. Again, the hubris of man. Human beings are doing nuclear tests. I don't care if it's hydrogen or nuclear. It's nuclear. Tests in the ocean. It awakens an ancient, almost prehistoric dinosaur.
Definitely, it awakens or it mutates it.
Yeah.
Or actually, in both cases. Yeah. Mutates.
Both? It does definitely mutate.
Manipulates.
Yeah, because that's where he gets his fire breath.
Yeah.
Or atomic breath. Don't get me started. Yeah. But yeah, human beings are doing nuclear tests. It awakens and mutates reptilian dinosaur-like creature known through a lot of folklore in Japan as Gojira or Godzilla. That monster has a grudge, does a lot of destruction in some major cities. Human beings try to repel the monsters with not much success. They come up with a bigger plan to try to repel the monster. That kind of works. And it's a cautionary tale in a lot of different ways for a lot of different people. Godzilla. And, yeah, that's a synopsis.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Except with everything but the 2014, that's kind of different. But that's, Godzilla comes. That's all you need to know.
Well,
you know what Godzilla movies are. If you're not, why are you watching this, listening to this?
Correct,
You know Godzilla.
Go watch one, because they're a lot of fun.
They're fun.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Like the original Godzilla, I mean, I'm not going to dictate. You wait till the end of this before when we get into the 1998 version of Godzilla, if we should watch that or not. But yeah, but you can see the influence of Godzilla, the original, especially on even in like Jaws.
Yeah.
Like so when the original opens up, there's a military ship going through, and then like basically they run into Godzilla, and he kills them immediately. Kills them, and like you see the ship caught on fire. They're sitting around, like the guys on the deck are just playing like guitar and like playing chess and whatever, and then he just blows them up, and they're like, wait, what happened? And then they send another boat, and that gets destroyed too. And it destroys like 20 boats, but you never see him.
Right.
And it does, and you can see that influence of him on like Jaws.
Yeah, like not seeing
that you're not seeing what it is. You're like, what the hell is killing these things? Because for us, we take advantage. We know what Godzilla looks like. So,
but like for this first film, introducing the concept of Godzilla.
Yeah.
And like the way throughout the film they build it up.
Yeah.
And they build it up, and when you finally get to see the monster, even like
over a mountain, by the way, which is so cool.
That was a nice touch, because then it puts
it into scale immediately.
Yeah.
You're like, this thing is it's a dinosaur, enormous dinosaur.
It's equivalent in a lot of ways of like Kong, climbing the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we know how big Kong is in this case, and also part of the reason why. Compared to Godzilla, Kong's bitch. I won't get into that. He's a little small guy.
Small gorilla.
But yeah, no, like in some of the other films, they do a decent job with the scale. Like I know we're going to talk about 98 a little bit, but like when they're in the actual tracks of Godzilla's like footprint, basically, like 98, I think they do like a decent job of like showing
they do
how big it is, but it's a little over the top.
Man, in 98, they do so much because people don't remember. I remember 1998.
Yeah.
I remember when this movie came out and your boy was gassed for this movie. I was pumped to go see this. First day it opened, I was there, like ready to go, and I was so disappointed. So, because you had no idea none of the advertising showed you a Godzilla.
No, it did not.
No, nothing. So,
you got
like
the
there
sound,
was
maybe the eye. You know.
Yeah, you got the sound, and like you had in the trailer, you had when he's first coming to New York, you see it like bubble up, and then you're like, oh shit. You're like, oh, what the hell is it? And then there would be like advertisements in New York City, like that a bus would have on the back of it, like this is the size of Godzilla's toe.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah.
A bus, a city bus, and like stuff like that.
Because if I remember, like, yeah, it was the sound they made that like rumble effect of like boom, doom, and walk through the city.
And you would see like his like spikes going through like the ship in the beginning that gets attacked. That's also, like, if they followed the same formula that they did in the first one, they started off so strong with that boat getting crushed.
It was great.
Yeah, that he just, and then, like, the way you see it, like, it looked like it was actually happening.
Right.
Like the other one, yeah, it was cool, but you could tell it was a miniature. Like, it was a miniature boat. They're not sinking. That movie cost $65 to make. They're not sinking a real boat. But it was like a really expensive movie for the time for that. But... I'm just joking, everybody. Anyway, being facetious, as they say. But in the original, like in the remake, when they do that, and it's like, oh, that's a great start, so strong, and then you have the footprint.
Right.
You're like, oh shit. You're like, oh, where's the evidence of this monster? It's like you're standing in it. And it zooms out on Beret, Matthew Broderick zooming out, and we were discussing. We'll get back to this. Never mind.
Yeah.
But and then when he finally appears, you're like, this fucking thing, it's an iguana. It's so stupid.
It like, here's the thing, right? Just like Kong, just like Godzilla, it's an iconic thing.
We're gonna change it, man. Like you didn't learn anything from New Coke. Nothing.
And like Godzilla has changed over the years, but like there's a general kind of consensus of what a Godzilla looks like.
He's got spikes.
He's slightly upright, you know, he's not this like hunched over thing that they do in 98. You need the dorsal spikes.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of like a T-Rex, but like
more
lizardy.
But like a second grader's version of it.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, man. Like, there's just something about that design and like how long Godzilla's been with us, because we talked about our experiences with it. Like, there's a lot of times where like you're not necessarily in these movies, but like there are times where you're rooting for Godzilla.
Yeah.
In these films, you know, he's actually just like, because no one knows anything about him, it's this terrifying monstrosity that defies logic and everything like that. And then 1998, there's
defies like bullets, defies everything that you send at him. He's like, I don't give a shit, and he just gets mad.
Yeah, he gets stronger. Like the more you try to fuck with him, the more.
Like he initially comes to, I guess we'll just dive into it. Like just the motives of each Godzilla are different.
Right.
So like the original Godzilla, he destroys the boat because one, it's like in his way, so he's like, get out of my way, I'm gonna kill you. But also he's fishing, he's eating.
Right. So his natural habitat, which is like it becomes lore and shit too, but like this deep sea.
Yeah, it's like it's honestly very similar to the plot of the Meg.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that it's the deepest. They don't say it's the what is it, the Mariana Trench or whatever.
Okay.
That the trench, the Mariana Trench, like the deepest part of the ocean. That's where like the Meg is. And basically he's in the same thing.
Right.
And because of the Hiroshima bombings and and the atomic testing that's been going on in the ocean and underwater testing, he's awakened from that, and he destroys that.
Right.
Then he's also, because of those tests are going on, he's like gone through radiation, and now he's stronger because of it, because it didn't kill him. So he evolved past it. So now nothing can kill him.
Right.
So basically he goes, so now he's eating, and now he's in regular commercial waters and eating all of the fish. And then, so I'm still hungry because he's a monster. So he goes on the land and people try and fuck with him. And then once they fuck with him, he's like, well, now I'm going to fuck with you.
Right.
Like, now you're poking the bear. So it's like there's, on both sides, there's like reason for aggression going back and forth.
Well, what's fascinating about 54, because like being an actual Japanese film, having like the benefit of being like the literal origin of Godzilla, like those waters or whatever. There's that scene where they go to the island, like the fishing island, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, back in the day we used to have Godzilla problems."
Yeah,
you know, and like we used to like feed him like a maiden,
a virgin,
virgin maiden. We don't do that
send her
anymore.
on a raft. All that's left is this dance, but we got the dance.
The dance still works, you know. We're not animals.
Yeah.
But like the idea that like, okay, there is this like ancient aspect to it that in some capacity at some point people interacted with it and they came with their own solutions. And when you're talking about like the motivation of Godzilla, like obviously trying to eat, and sometimes they're like, all right, we're just gonna fucking feed this guy.
Yeah.
And hopefully he like.
Well, basically,
lets it go.
well, you're also talking about something he's like a myth.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where they give him the name Godzilla.
Right.
Because it's a myth of like this thing that they don't know. They've never seen it.
Right, they've never seen it.
They just know that they don't have fish.
Right.
And that's all they know. And then, so they're assuming that it's something like punishing them, some demon monster that's punishing them. Mm-hmm. So to appease them, they sent him a virgin. In this case, it's actually there.
Right.
Like that's why it's not.
Right.
You know, so meanwhile that guy's talking, it's like, yeah, there's like a lore about him, but they're like, oh, I think it's kind of like, you guys got it all wrong.
Yeah, and there's always like some kind of component. Like we're not going to talk a lot about the people starring in the films because like Godzilla is the star, but like in every film, there's someone who like is trying to get an understanding of Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like if you go back, I kind of mentioned this guy before. He was in Rashomon, but like Takashi Shimura is like the paleontologist.
Yeah.
日本だけに現れた貴重な研究を知らず。しかし先生、だからといってあの凶暴な怪物をあのまま
Zoologist
type character in the first film. The equivalent in 1998 would be Matthew Broderick's.
I think it's actually just his beret.
Dr. Nico. That bit.
That
smell like the fish.
I think we should leave now.
I think that's a good idea.
fucking joke. Dude, they did that 7 times in 10 minutes. And I was like...
It was pretty rough.
Oh, I was like, boo.
And also like, why is he Greek?
Oh my god, yeah, it's like, just make him John Smith. Who cares? Like, this is a stupid bit. I know, make him Greek, by all means, but just get his name right. Like, if you're looking for this guy, you know what his name is.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I guess,
like, if I'm looking for Zach Galifianakis, I know who Zach Galifianakis is. I'm not going to be like, Zach gotta get him over here. Like, it's so stupid.
It's really weak.
Yeah, it's such bad writing.
Especially considering, like, they're his employers. So it was like, what, you just haven't known his name the whole time?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you can't figure...
I guess
that was like a bit in the 90s. They did the same thing in Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, just like
Henry Roland Gardner, like Rosenberger. Like, he is literally the Rookie of the Year.
Right.
He's the reason why you're in the playoffs, and you don't know his name. Like, maybe you're not the best manager.
I agree.
And but that was a joke all the time that they used to do. And it's so bad. It was never funny.
It's never funny.
Never funny.
It's not funny in this. It's not funny in
this. It's never.
And they do it, like you said, they do it so many times. Like, dude.
Anyway, but that's the problem with this movie. It's like it relies on like cliche jokes.
Yes.
And then there's something about the entire like you know the expression like a camel is a horse drawn by committee.
Right.
That's exactly what this Godzilla is. Like he's got in the '98
Yeah.
Godzilla. Like he's got to be like agile, and then he's got to be like, we're sick of the green. Let's go gray.
Yeah.
And like everything, like no, make him look meaner. And
dude,
it's just stick with what works. Why are you fucking this up? Like I said, new Coke. Just why?
Totally. So you got the 58, you got the 98, and then 2014 you got what, Bryan Cranston,
where they went back to that,
right?
But like a bulked up, jacked up version of the original Godzilla.
And I would say I guess I'm also gonna throw in Ken Watanabe. So
he's
in 1954. We awakened something. The arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control.
The best.
He's so
everything.
Good. He's so good.
In everything.
Okay, so to your point, right? Godzilla. We have 1958, I believe.
54.
54. Sorry, yeah. I had it a second ago. 54. It's not where ultimately the monster lands. They refine it over time, but pretty distinct.
Yeah, it has all the features.
And everything you would expect from Godzilla is there.
Yeah.
They may church it up a little bit later, but
he's got the fire breath. He's got the glowing spikes.
Yeah, the glowing spikes.
He's got the. I mean, he looks like we said, like a second grader's version of a T-Rex.
Right.
It's not quite a T-Rex, but close enough.
And then honestly, closer to a spiritual successor than the '98 film, you got 2014, which has more of those same themes of there are people. There's a disagreement in all films, but there's a disagreement about whether should we try to contain this thing, should we study this thing, should we kill this thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And all of the doctors that we described are kind of in the camp of
let's study.
Study, although '98,
I
think they are trying to get rid of the eggs.
Yeah, they're absolutely trying to.
I don't know. That's the thing about 1998. If you're talking about a cautionary tale,
it dabbles on it for a second.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It doesn't for a second.
Stick with it.
It doesn't at all.
Whereas 54 and 2014 are okay, this is a legitimate problem. We fucked up and trying to hide this information from the public is actually a problem. And it's actually the monster's so big that despite all the efforts to hide it, there's no use. Everyone's shit, Godzilla, we know that.
Godzilla, he's in Tokyo walking around smashing, causing, I don't know how many deaths. Oh, but 30,000, 40,000 people died because of that. But also, there's also the level of, and I'll just talk about this now, because you made me think about the eggs.
Right.
What I said about it being made by committee.
Right.
It's people were they came in. I guarantee they came in with a script of Godzilla, and they were but this is okay. But you know what was a great movie? Jurassic Park.
Right.
And you know why it was a great movie? Because in the beginning, you had the T-Rex coming after them, but at the end, the raptors are chasing them. Can we get raptors in this movie? Raptors, right. And I had raptors with the baby Godzillas that are fully developed.
Okay. So, here's my problem. Here's my big problem, 98. To your point, yes, that. My big and also, making Godzilla, he's, asexual or something he can reproduce asexually. It was okay, that's weird. All this committee shit that you're talking about. I had a point, lost the point, now I'm going to get it back. My big problem with it is that, they're acting like the monster's not enough, right?
Yeah.
54, 2014... There's one big monster.
Yeah.
That's the problem. 1998 is okay, we got the monster, but there's more.
It's pregnant.
It's pregnant. There's more. Also, oh my God, why are they doing home pregnancy tests for the giant, ancient reptile?
The radioactive giant reptile. It's not even.
Holy shit! I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
The problem with 1998 is that tonally, it's closer to the Super Mario movie, the original,
absolutely,
than it is to
100%
Godzilla.
100%.
There's so many New York jokes. They're yo, take Broadway. No, we got to go up 32nd Street.
Yeah.
I think we should go over to the FDR, and it's like, yo, like,
shut up.
Focus on the fucking monster, dude.
Or like with the coffee.
The coffee.
Like how the John Reno can't get a good cup of coffee and like whatever. Like like. All right, man. Well, you're in New York. New York has pretty good coffee, man. I don't know. Like it's not all White Castle.
There's so much.
Starbucks existed in 1998.
There are so many side plots that have nothing to do with furthering the cautionary tale.
With the random sexual harassment by Mr. Burns? Harry Shearer, who does the voice of Mr. Burns, sexually propositions, what's her name?
Not Vicky Lewis, but like the
other one.
Well, I got you right here. Audrey. It's Maria Patillo's Audrey Timmons.
He's like, oh, you could get the job.
Yeah. Not like acting, not necessarily the woman. It's just like, what
she's with the most 90s woman haircut ever, with the frizzy curls.
She's Antopoulos' college sweetheart?
College sweetheart. That he's still holding a torch. Yeah, he has the photos lined up in his van.
Weird, dude.
And also,
weird.
He's going to Chernobyl with no...
Well, you got to study the Chernobyl worms.
Obviously.
They're 17% larger than other worms.
Yeah, okay. Maybe it's because they're eating so many dead bodies. That maybe doesn't account for the radiation. Of course it is. That no doubt about that, but... but also, you're just walking in there without a radiation suit, nothing?
But also,
just listening to Singing in the Rain on your fucking 1998 headphones? While driving? Also not safe.
Not safe. Which is why you couldn't hear that military-grade helicopter landing behind you.
Yes.
Because you listen to Singing in the Rain so loud. Which
yes.
Bad for your ears.
Terrible for yours. And that guy who was in so many of those...
There was noise cancellation. Those things were like...
That one... Oh, nothing at all. No, those headphones sucked.
Yeah, they did.
With that one dude who had, who was in so many 90s movies. Mm-hmm. That guy, the guy who was like the colonel. So, some of these guys who were like colonels in these movies, that it was just like, how did you get to be?
Right.
Like, there's no way you passed basic training. Oh, man. But that guy who was on World of the Psychic and Ghostbusters 2, I can't remember what else he was in, but I always think of him in that. Who, by the way, doesn't know his name. Just, you're that guy, but he knows he's at Chernobyl. Anyway, so Matthew Broderick has his van lined up with pictures of this girl.
Right.
Psycho.
Completely insane.
Psychopath. Insane. And then she's also holding a torch for him.
Right. That
just goes to show you, ladies and gentlemen, like, sometimes being a creep works. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
We were saying this off camera, but like, I guess we're saying on camera now. This is the most late 90s cast of all time.
And it's the most late 90s movie of all time.
Yes, it is. And it's also like, it is the most late 90s movie because of the amount of people that want to fuck Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yes. And we were also discussing this off camera, too, was that other than OJ, Matthew Broderick has ruined all of the goodwill that he's had from Ferris Bueller by not being bad, though. Like, he's not a murderer.
Right.
But he's ruined all, like, just by being like you're not like that at all. Like, at least, like, Henry Winkler is nothing like Fonzie.
Yep.
But he's also, he's not overly, like, he's just a really nice guy.
Sure.
He's not, like, I'm not saying Matthew Broderick's a mean guy, but he's like a nerd.
Yeah, no, he's a dork. Like, no, you think about, like, the swag of Ferris Bueller.
Yes.
There's nothing,
the absolute swag.
There's nothing else that Broderick's done that...
Even close.
Like, I almost sometimes forget he is Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, he's closer to the producers than he is to Ferris Bueller.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's 100% true. But, like, yeah, this like, 90s film is such a 90s film.
So 90s. Like, Jean Reno being in there, like, that he's, like, the badass. Don't get me wrong, love Jean Reno, but what is he doing there?
And, like, to me, it's a bit of a cop-out, right? Like, 54 in 2014, like, the people responsible for creating this monster, or at least, like, awakening this monster, are responsible for it. In this movie, because I think they just wanted to shoehorn in John Reno, they're like,
yeah.
Oh, the French were
testing the
hydrogen bomb. What?
In French Polynesia.
The Americans. Why is he there?
We know what we're doing. We know all about Bikini Island.
Yeah. I just don't get why, like, again, I like that John Reno's in the movie. I like John Reno, but like, I don't get why he is the I don't get what his jurisdiction is.
Yeah,
that's all I'm getting at.
And they don't have any.
No. Why is he there?
Yeah.
Why is he there? It doesn't make sense.
To like keep it concealed, like you're not concealing anything. It's a monster. At that point, you just walk away. Like we had nothing to do with this.
Well, kind of going back to like the more like good portrayals. Like again, going back to 1954, just to throw in a couple characters. We mentioned Takashi Shimura, who's struggling with this idea of he's like the main paleontologist scientist guy, which is like I don't know what to do. Like he literally he's like paralyzed with like there's no answer.
Yeah, there's no answer. It's like I understand what's going on, but we need to study this because if we could learn how this thing survived radiation, we don't have to worry about what happened to us.
Right.
Like we could possibly go further because of this thing.
Right.
But no.
And like his character, his daughter, played by Momoko Kochi, she's like dating this one guy who's awesome, like the guy with the eye patch, Dr. Serizawa, who's played by
Well, she grew up with him.
Akihiko Harada, yeah.
Yeah.
She grew up with him, and then she likes that Ogata character. But like, I love that like the scientist who like the older scientist who's like this is like he's just checked out by them. He's like, this is too much for me.
Yeah.
But like Serizawa might be my favorite character.
Oh, he's great
in the film because like he creates the oxygen destroyer.
Can we just mention this, by the way?
Sure.
The whole movie they're talking about hydrogen bombs and like atomic bombs and hydrogen. Why do they go for oxygen? Like the deoxygen, like hydrogen's in there too.
Right.
Like if you're investigating everything that has to do with hydrogen, the hydrogen bomb, everything. Like, why not have that be an aspect of that? Like it's right there. It's on the table, guys.
Why not start there?
Yeah.
Like,
anyway.
The scope, right? Like Dr. Serizawa, who comes up with this thing, and he's like, he's Oppenheimer. Going back to Oppenheimer,
yes.
He's like, I've created.
He's absolutely Oppenheimer.
I've created this thing, and it is my greatest work, and it is also my curse.
Yes, it's Oppenheimer without knowing anything about Oppenheimer from the Japanese perspective.
Sure.
It's commenting on the atomic bomb, like yes, you could do this. And what a fantastic achievement, but how could you do this?
Right. And like the fact that he's like, okay, I know I can stop Godzilla.
Yes.
But at what cost?
He's like 98% sure he can.
Absolutely. He's like, I created the oxygen destroyer. This shit works. I mean, this shit destroys oxygen.
Yes.
But he's like, if I use it to stop Godzilla, they're going to make me use it on so many other things. And he's like, I can't live with that. So the fact that he's willing to let, I guess the equivalent of the nuclear holocaust in his own nation to happen, because it's like, I would rather that than to unleash what I put into the world. Like this monster.
But he's more like, I just don't want the responsibility of putting this into the world.
That's fair.
That's of being it used the wrong way. Because if I don't want to use it the right. If it was only used to kill Godzilla, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm fine with that, but it's the idea of it being used for more than that. Because everyone would band against us, and then it's going to be destruction of the world.
Totally. And also, ridiculous is, like you said, his friend he grew up with, who's also kind of in an arranged marriage with, who broke it off to date that other guy. But like, yo, bitch, shut up.
Yeah.
I told you something in privacy.
In private.
And you're going to go tell Ogata? This is ridiculous.
Yeah. Come on, man.
But I don't know, like...
Man, shut the fuck up.
Scope-wise, like, Serizawa is like, remorse.
Yeah.
Which is the oxygen destroyer. His remorse is, it's palpable. And like you were saying earlier, like, this is a film.
Yes.
Right? Like,
it's actually a film.
We have this monster that, like, in the opening scenes, you're right, they blow up the ships and like, okay, we've already put the scope of what this monster could do.
Yes.
Then you give the island folklore, like, this is the stuff of myth and legend. Dope. Then you actually see the fucking thing with the picture.
Yeah.
And he's, like you said, he's over the mountaintop. That's crazy. Then everyone debating, do we tell people? And they're like, no. Like, the military people are like, we shouldn't tell anyone about this.
No.
It's our secret. And then, like, oops, cat's out of the bag anyway. And then the utter, like, what is it, hopelessness of nothing. There's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
Tanks, useless. Electrocution, useless.
Electric fence.
We're all gonna die.
We're all gonna die. We're at the mercy of this monster.
And the only thing that makes Serizawa change his mind about like releasing it is like the literal cries and like mourning of his country.
Yeah, while the children are singing.
Which is, by the way, fantastic.
Oh, it's so good.
It's fantastic.
But he's like, fuck.
And then this scientist with the coolest eye patch in
dope.
Since Escape from LA. Like this is the only Escape from New York.
I prefer LA.
Yeah, me too.
I'm lying.
But no, the like this guy who knows the horror that he's going to bring upon the world.
Yeah.
Burns his own nose. Murks himself.
Yeah. He burns his own notes to make sure that no one could duplicate what he did.
And
without his help. With his help.
Right.
Like he doesn't, he's not helping. They can't
once
do
they get the idea, they're like, oxygen short? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
now they're going to have whole teams working on this.
Of course. But like, this tragic tale, and it's tragic in so many different ways.
Yeah, it's like triumphantly tragic.
Yes. For the monster, for humanity. Like, yeah, even though humanity caused the problem, they solved the problem, but then, like, the guy knew that they caused the problem, so they're just going to do it again, so he's like,
And you're losing out on whatever you can learn from that monster because it eats all the flesh away.
Yes.
So it's gone. It's dead. Like, you never see that again. You're never going to be able to study it. You just know that this thing existed.
Right. And that's the other thing,
So there's nothing...
Right, exactly. To go back to, like, what's going to bum the original paleontologist guy out is that, like, yeah, we're just going to destroy this thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is the greatest discovery.
Yes. And it is,
history.
and at the same time, like, but he comes around to the idea of, like, listen, we got to kill this. Like, we can't.
No,
like, I get it. I get why you guys... I do want to study it, but, like, now you get nothing from it.
Right.
You know, like, so it's like, yes, we all survived. Yes, we defeated the monster. But I unleashed this horrible plague into the world of this oxygenation thing.
Right. Because it's going to destroy everything in Tokyo.
Yeah, this deoxynizer or whatever it was called. And then also, what this miracle of nature coming out of nowhere, you don't get to observe it, study it, none of it. Although, even when that was going on, I'm like, how are you going to study that, man?
Yeah.
How are you going to study that?
Yeah, it's not going to
like, what you better get some fucking binoculars.
It's this like really interesting tale, and then like that's not like that's just like the periphery shit, which I think is what like these movies when they do it well. We'll talk about the movies that don't. But when they do it well, you get the human toll, and you get to see the big ass monster do some crazy stuff. He's destroying the train set. He's destroying Tokyo. He's like, what's this, electrocution? Oh, I'm pissed.
Fuck your electrocution.
Atomic breath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Watch this.
The planes come, the tanks is like, poo-poo, poo-poo. And like, that's what we as like, I guess the society love about Godzilla is like, damn, this dude.
You don't give a fuck. He's coming in like Scarface.
He is the king of monsters.
Yeah,
man.
he's the king. Like, he's not taking their shit.
What's great about Godzilla too, because the lore that they built, every time you learn something new. It's like, when you learn how to fly, my G? Because like, in later iterations, he can use the breath and like fly backwards, and like the bigger the monster and like the more it seems like even Godzilla can't take Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah,
it's like actually I got another little trick up my Godzilla dinosaur sleeve.
It's like because it's like with Godzilla, like even the same thing with Monty Burns. Like it's that he's old enough and rich enough that he could do anything. Yeah. Like it's the same thing with Godzilla. Like he doesn't apply the same logic of any other. Like a zebra can't do that. Right. But Godzilla could do that shit. Like I remember I was in. This is just like a quick story. I was in art class in like 7th or 8th grade or whatever I was, and I was drawing a picture of a dragon, and like we had to do some whatever it was, and I was drawing a dragon. I don't know why. And I was coloring it, and he's like breathing fire on this thing. It was a pretty cool picture. Yeah. And he's breathing fire, and I'm drawing him green, and I remember the guy next to me was like, red dragons breathe fire, not green dragons. Oh. And I was like, we're talking about fucking fictional characters. Right. We're fantasy characters. Right. And I was like, what? Get away from me, you fucking nerd.
Completely.
He was, I was like, what are you, no one asked you.
That's a wyvern, you dumb bitch.
Exactly.
You're all the way wrong.
Yeah,
Reggie.
you all the way. You done. But it's like the same thing with Godzilla. Like, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you need to do.
Yeah, dude, that's what's great about him. I don't care if you do the movie 30 times.
Yeah.
What's he gonna do now? And then, like, you put Mothra over, you put, there's all kinds
Ghidra.
of... Ghidra, yeah. It's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it was.
It's so good. It's a fun movie.
But it's also, like, fun in the aspect of, like, yeah, I don't know.
And even, like this little shirt I'm wearing, like, part of it, too, is, like, Godzilla and that ilk and, like, the suitimation is what they call it, where you have the guy in the suit.
Yeah.
Breaking down
Which comes out of necessity for them.
Completely out of necessity.
Because they wanted to do it with animatronics and stop motion.
Yeah.
Like the way King Kong was made.
Mm-hmm.
But then they, like, because of the film industry and, like, whatever the time of, like, when it was made, the technology was just not there in Japan, like, for them to do it. Which is wild to think of, but...
You know, we kind of, like, joke and, like, laugh at... Because, like, again, it's of the time that it came out. But, like, it's so dynamic.
Oh, it's extremely dynamic. And,
you know?
And it is, I mean, it is in the idea of, like, you could see the influences of King Kong, but at the same time, it's still so original.
Yes. Yeah,
like, the only thing is, like,
original.
a monster destroys a city. But he destroys it for different reasons.
And,
you know?
Like, the audience, you're going to have to do your own research on this. I'm not going to, like, look up who the guy who's wearing the suit was. But, like, that dude was, like, a judo, like, black belt.
Really?
So, like, he was showing off.
Oh, wait, yeah. And then he would do so much stuff in it.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I started watching it, and I kind of, like, at first I was kind of chuckling. I was like, oh, my God, look at how stupid this looks. Yeah. But then, like, the more I watched it, I was like, this is actually kind of...
Some of it was really lit. Like, the way... like, when they're in the boat, and then it's like, and they're having... It's like a party cruise or whatever, and they're on the boat, and they just see Godzilla come out of the water, and they're like, ah! Mm-hmm. And I loved, on the boat, like, everyone ran to the other side of the boat. It was like, yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah,
you're good now. Don't worry now, guys. But then he came out and I was like, oh, even though, like, you're like, oh, that's definitely a guy in a suit coming out of the water. I was like, looks pretty cool.
Looks okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the technology's not there.
Sure.
Absolutely not. But there's a part of it that I prefer that over, like, the CGI.
Same. Like, I would rather the goofy suit than what we saw in 98.
Yeah.
No question.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, because that is also
Ain't
a
no
sign
question.
of the times, and it don't look no good.
No.
It looked kind of bad, man.
It looked awful.
Honestly, some of the best stuff is when they're doing the more practical stuff. Like, the egg looked good. But when they got into the CGI, it's like, you know? And, like, it's so obvious that nothing's there.
Yeah.
And like...
They're running through Madison Square Garden, and, like...
Yeah.
And it's not Madison Square Garden at all. For anyone
I would say probably, of all of that ridiculous garbage, the best shot, for me, might have been when, like, Hank Azaria is trying to, like, film it, and you think he gets stepped on by a thing, and, like, I guess however Godzilla's feet works, he's not actually...
He's not. Is it?
Which doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't at all. Like, the way his toes are, like...
Because, like, he made that giant indentation in the ground already. It's not like there was a part of it that's, like, raised. Like, he steps fully down. So, I guess they just kept him alive to keep him alive. It's weird.
Yes. No, that's the one part of the movie that doesn't make sense. You're right.
Yeah, you're
that's
right.
That's
the
right.
part that really took
Although his response to it is the only part of the movie I'm like, I love it. When he's like, because that's exactly how I would be like, Like, there are two, sometimes that you see yourself in a character, like, and I bring it up again, is Jaws. When Roy Scheider kills Jaws and he blows him up and he's like, that would be me. And then when he almost gets stepped on, he's like, like, that would be me too.
I'll say this, because, you know, it's very easy to show 1998. There's many things to shit about. They
couldn't find him? What do you... I haven't seen shit like that since Michael Bay's Transformers, when they're dancing around the outside of the house. Like, where are the Transformers? Shut up.
Should have took the A train, you know? It's ridiculous. I swear to God, it is. Like, honestly, I think in a lot of ways, the Mario movie may have more...
it's better. It's better.
Right?
It is better.
Isn't it?
Because it gets to a point of, like, camp in Mario.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone this is the
It's like universe building.
Yes. It's also the difference of everyone in Super Mario Brothers.
Yep.
Everyone involved is like, what is this shit?
You're right.
Like, whereas in Godzilla, I'd be like, we're gonna be so fucking famous. I'm smelling 3-4 movies.
True. Well, it's like it almost reminds me of the Mario movies, almost like Hudson Hawk when Danny Aiello was like, yeah, and then somehow I lived through this thing, and it was like, no fucking way. It's like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. 2014, right? I think gets back into...
It gets closer, but there's no point to 2014.
There's no point,
you know
but
what I mean?
like...
There's no hard. Where's the ha?
Like, here's what's wrong with 2014 and why 54 apparently is still the king of Godzilla movies. Yeah, there's more of that human element, right? Like Bryan Cranston has to let his wife get murdered and shit like that.
Yo,
pretty sick scene.
Yeah, like that was pretty sick. Yeah. Like when it was going on, like I was like, oh, like oh man, like I'm just thinking like if that were my girl, like damn, like I don't know.
Wow. And
wow.
I think they focus so much on the human element in 2014.
Yeah.
Not enough monster.
Oh, definitely not.
Not enough monster.
Not like we said, we get right to it. Like 17 minutes in 1954, he's on screen. Yeah. Godzilla's popping up above the mountain, and you're like, oh shit! Like there he is. In this one, an hour and change before Godzilla
and you're
shows
showing
up.
Me like other shit.
Yeah.
Like little winged creatures.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what's this about? You know?
Yeah, and they have the other one that's almost like a red herring.
Yeah.
That they do.
Yeah.
Because they have the radioactive thing that you think is Godzilla. Yeah. That causes the meltdown at the the factory in Japan, the nuclear power plant. That's you think it's Godzilla, but it's not. It's the other monster.
Right.
I'm just blanking on what the monster is. It doesn't matter, but it's another one of those Godzilla monsters that I forget.
Keep talking about.
But when they do it, don't get me wrong, Godzilla looks good. The only thing is that they keep filming it at night. They're showing it at night, so it's like. And I'll be honest though, like if I'm being 100% with the crowd, with the audience listening to this, I watched it and it was kind of like late in the afternoon, so I kind of had a little bit of a glare on my TV. So I'm like, can this please be in the fucking daylight? Or meanwhile, I'm the one who should be watching it at night. But I'm, who cares? And they do the old bait and switch with Bryan Cranston, because when this movie came out, Bryan Cranston, also, it was like the height of Breaking Bad, that he was in every trailer for this fucking movie, and he was on every talk show.
Right.
And then, spoiler alert, guys, about 20 minutes into the movie, he dies, and he fucking dies. Like, it's not... I guess it's like Steven Seagal, an executive decision.
I guess the other monster they called the Muto.
Yeah,
the massive unidentified terrestrial organism.
Although, and then but there's like he's doing this. I don't know. I gotta figure out a cliche in my life where I run into like this mad scientist that is so dead on.
No, I agree with you on that. But like, how do you take Bryan Cranston out of the movie and like try to replace him with Aaron Taylor Johnson? I'm sorry, dude. Like, look, I love Ken Watanabe, and I like that he gets to do like a Serizawa type deal himself. That's pretty damn cool that he gets to like kind of reprise that dope iconic character. But like, your lead, if you thought your lead was Bryan Cranston, which was working swimmingly,
that you thought that's who it was,
and then you're like, no, it's this guy. And it's like, what are you trying to put
his son?
We're trying to put this guy over the top? Like, why? I don't know, like, why couldn't it just be Bryan Cranston the whole time?
I don't know.
It's weird.
There was also, like, an element... Yeah.
And once you got in that, bring him back for, like, the other movies, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely not. Like, and then, but there was also a level of him, it's like, well, I don't care. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't...
I know! That was my problem.
Care. Like, if it's not him, then I don't care.
That's my problem. It was like, like, the guy who knew what was going on, who had the most stakes, who had to, like, endure this personal tragedy of, like, watching his wife die.
Yeah.
And then
then the whole world is against him, and he knows what's true.
Right.
And then he dies. And then the guy who was one of the deniers is like,
right.
I'm going to stand up for this. No, you're going home.
I know. It's like, well, knew my dad was crazy.
And also it just happens to be like, oh, I know how to just disarm a nuclear bomb.
Absolutely insane. At least I got to bang Elizabeth Olsen.
Yo, that's as a dude. Let me tell you something. And we had this discussion too. When I was watching that movie, there were several times that like so in the beginning he gets home from, it doesn't matter how long he's away, that he's sitting there with his family, and then he's like, oh, lovely me here, oh God, because it's showing that he's a family man. Instead of the real stakes, when you'd be like, kid, get out of my face, I'm banging this broad real quick.
True.
And by the way, she's gonna be like, hey kid, go away, because your father's home. I need to talk to him, and don't be afraid. Mommy's not screaming; she's singing.
Yeah.
And then it was like, and then I don't care if he was away for a week.
Right.
Like that's exactly what I'm doing.
I hear you. I hear you.
Also on the same level of and then when they gets the call from that Bryan Cranston's in prison because he was trespassing in their old house looking for information about the not Godzilla, the Muto that's been that destroyed the factory, that destroyed the nuclear facility.
It should have just been about the Godzilla.
Yeah.
But
it's like
I don't care about the Muto.
Yeah. I don't either.
If this is your first
film,
just
Godzilla. But it legitimately sets him up as the good guy immediately.
Yeah, but like
that he's a good guy, that he's protecting the humans from this monster.
Yeah.
Why does he give a shit?
I know.
Why does he give a shit?
That's the thing, like, we go through...
Because he's a benevolent king of the monsters.
Right. We go through a progression to make Godzilla.
Because we're monsters too.
We are the monsters. We are the monsters.
Yeah, we go through, like, he gets made...
We know, like, we learn why he would even give a shit about humanity down the line.
Down the line, but in this movie, you have no idea.
Right. He just does. And it's like, okay, I don't get it, man.
And at the end, they're... Oh, well, we'll get to the ending in a second, because I know... So he fights... There's two Mutos, a mother and a father, and they're stealing the radioactive weapons to populate their egg.
Okay.
Because that's how it basically... You know how, like, a bird will sit on an egg and warm it until it reaches...
I know that. Actually, in North Brunswick, this is a ridiculous aside, in the parking lot in that little strip mall thing over there, these geese laid some eggs. There's some goose eggs over there. Yes, I do.
Literal goose eggs.
Yeah, literal. They'll fuck you up too.
Yeah, fucking geese. They'll hiss at you. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know if they realize, I will snap your little neck in a second, bird.
Thin bird neck.
No.
I'm sorry, the Muto. Dan, king of monsters.
King of geese. They're using the nuclear weapons.
Right.
I'm trying not to say nuclear, because that's my habit. I always say it. Nuclear weapons. So they're trying to basically draw them off because they realize that's why they're going to that nuclear power plant.
Right.
And they're trying to go after nuclear weapons because the radioactivity is drawing them in like a moth to a flame.
Right.
So basically, that basically warms the egg because they're radioactive.
Sure.
So that warms their egg, the weapons, and so through that they hatch, and then there's more of them. That's the circle of life. And I guess, and they communicate through solar pinging.
Okay.
Sonar pinging. I'm sorry. Like bats. And Bryan Cranston figured all this out. Yep. And no one believes him, even though.
Would you?
Yeah. Why? Why not? Why not get him? And he goes back to get his stuff for his research and gets arrested. But at the end, so Godzilla shows up. Don't know how, but he shows up. Just walks in like, yo, what up? I guess he's attracted to radioactivity too. Right. And he realizes what these fucks are doing to his kingdom. Right. So he just goes in and fights. They give no explanation. and then he like starts hunting them all over the planet from Nevada back to Japan and so on, and San Francisco.
It's such a weird thing to make the movie monster the MacGuffin to solve the other movie monster.
Like he's solving mysteries for
like
and then what they do, and it's such a lazy kind of thing in the movie is that they have the dude, your boy, we were just talking about. What's his name?
Oh, Ken Watanabe.
Yeah. He like figures out exactly what he's hunting right now. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up. You don't know what he's doing. Come on, man. Like, you don't know. Like, no, he's defending us. Let them fight. Like, no! This is San Francisco, bro.
Which is ridiculous, because, like, this is why I was mad when I was watching Dune 2 and I saw the trailer for Godzilla and King Kong, whichever one's coming out. Yeah. Again, they did it again, somehow.
Oops.
Like, I know you did this so that I would watch another one of these fucking movies. Mm-hmm. You didn't do, like, when they made the first Godzilla, they were like, let's just make a dope movie.
Yeah, we have to, like, this is a poignant movie.
They weren't even...
This is an artistic movie.
Yeah. Like, maybe they were thinking, we're going to do it again, but, like, I think they were really just like, yo, this is a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's knock it out of the park. And they do. And it spurs out of just being a dope movie.
Yeah.
So much. But, like, all these other movies, even the way, like, 98 ends, spoiler for the 1998 film, like, there's one egg left. So even though we killed Godzilla... He's
back.
Right.
There's open for a sequel. Like, spoiler, there was no sequel. This movie fucking stunk and got panned as such.
Stunk.
Yeah, like, rightfully so.
In 2014, who was like knocking on the door.
It was so close.
Being like a good, like, nice send up for Godzilla, and then like to like kind of squander it with this like nonsensical sequel bait.
And then also like he gets up at the end. They're like, and it shows it like someone's watching the news. Like, so Godzilla kills these two things, the mother and the father.
Yep.
And then he's done, and he's like cracked out in the middle of like a bum in Castro of San Francisco, just laying there like,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, this fucking monster, and everyone's getting back together and making like, oh, where's Elizabeth Olsen? I got my kid, and oh God, Godzilla. And then he wakes up, and he's like, ugh, I gotta go back to the ocean, please. And then it's showing like CNN or whatever news, and it's at the bottom. It's like, Godzilla, savior? Like, no, they would not call him a savior.
They would not.
They would not. They'd be like, where's he going? Kill that fucking thing.
I will say, it's insane that of all these movies, the greatest like physical toll on society is the amount of missing the military is doing in 1998. Oops, Chrysler Building. Yeah. My bad.
Oops. Actually, you know what? In the 54, though, those guys, and I know the technology's not there, they miss every single one. Yeah. Every single missile they fire, not one hits Godzilla.
That's a great point.
And you're like, hey guys, this is why you lost the war.
This is exactly why you lost the war.
Yeah. It was like, what's going on? I'm all for a MacGuffin of missing stuff, but just have it, like, everything else bounced off him. Why can't these hit him?
It is, like, funny enough, as much as, like, we did watch the 2014 film, there's another Godzilla film that came out afterwards with, like, the dude from Atlanta and Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah, King of Monsters.
Yeah, and it's like, they're, like, kind of conspiracy theorists about Godzilla, and, like, I don't know, like, is it a good movie? No, but, like, there's more Godzilla.
There's definitely more Godzilla.
I just wish there was more Godzilla.
Yeah, I wish there was more Godzilla too, and it was like,
1998.
I don't need. No. Like, I'm not saying that he shouldn't be a star, but it's not like he's not consciously doing something.
Right.
You know, like he's maybe consciously defending himself because he's a monster.
Yeah.
Like, no more than a bear would. It's not like that bear saved my life.
Right,
no,
right.
Like,
there's like because of all like any random universe, like we brought up Fred Krueger a little bit earlier today. Like, they start creating reasons why.
First of all, I think we met Fred Krueger earlier.
I think we might have actually. they keep creating these reasons why Godzilla is like an anti-hero, like what's he doing over the years, because they kind of like have to retcon and make shit fit and matter. Like if I remember those animated films, shows, and I'm not talking about the one after 1998. I don't have time for that shit. But like, there's one that's kind of based off the original Godzilla. I don't remember exactly how it works, but I think they can like communicate with him, call Godzilla and shit.
Yeah, I kind of remember something like that.
You know, and then Godzuki hangs out, which is another problem. But like, to your point, Godzilla happening to fuck up a more menacing monster just to kind of protect his turf is enough.
Like, but once you say like the words like, so Godzilla's a good guy. Right. No, he's not He's not a bad guy either. Like he's not anything.
He's neutral. He's
he's Godzilla. He's his own shit.
It's like that's a nice dinosaur.
Yeah.
Or like,
what side are you on?
Tiger.
My side, dickhead.
Yeah. If like a poacher or something like Craven the Hunter was trying to kill me. Yeah. And then a tiger ate him. The tiger's not a good guy.
Yeah, the tiger's not like, hey,
it's convenient for me.
How you like that, Reggie? Like, thanks, Tony. You're great.
Right. Like, I think these people are confused about what Godzilla is here for.
Yeah, he's not. It's like, yo, if you don't have fish, he doesn't give a shit. Like,
also,
but it's like he's looking after human beings. Why is he looking at? There's no reason.
Also, and this is a great opportunity for me to shit on 1998 again. The problem with that film, and a lot of Godzilla films, is the scope, right? Like, I felt like 54 nailed the scope, right? Like,
absolutely,
it's big, it destroys everything, nothing we can do. Wait a minute, Serizawa came up with something. It's our last ditch effort.
Yeah, out of the box, never been done before, never been used.
Completely an environmental disaster, but in these trying times.
Yeah, in these trying times, we'll use whatever we can.
You know, like, dope. 1998, right? Like, it's big, it's crazy, blah blah, and there's more, which is ridiculous. But then, like, you build this thing up, and then you bring it down by having it like not being able to catch a taxi. Yeah, like, come on.
Yeah, how do you kill it? Shot him.
Yeah, shot him. Right, and it was like
where Brooklyn Bridge.
Yep, got kind of caught up in the cables.
Yeah, got him.
You know,
nailed him.
Done. And it's like, okay. So, like, yeah, there's another Godzilla out there, but, like, it's not hard to beat.
Yeah, so kill that one, too.
Yeah. And by the time
when you realize that he's 15 feet tall, kill him.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, shit.
Like,
now I see him.
Because, like, you're going to see the teenage Godzilla before you see the full grown one. It's like, he's going to be much easier to kill.
Yeah. And also wandering around Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah. If you would have just shot at killing me, you should have got me when I was fucking 15.
Yeah,
because I'm 30-something now. I'm going to whoop your ass.
I'm going to whoop that ass.
But, like, yeah.
And like that, the 2014, to the discredit, good luck killing that thing. That MacGuffin of the deoxygenator doesn't exist in that. Correct. And they're not trying to kill him.
No, they're not, because he's a savior.
It's like he's a good guy. Like, you fucking know.
Right. My biggest problem with 2014, just not enough Godzilla. Yeah. I think they got a lot of the humanity. I wish there was not enough Cranston, not enough Godzilla.
Not enough Godzilla, and him and Ken, because have more of both of them. Just the two of them fighting Godzilla.
Well, Ken Watanabe's awesome.
Yeah, he's great.
Always has been. You know?
But I hate the assumption of the new God, of all that, like the exposition to, like, if you're gonna do that, just give me a title card at the beginning. Godzilla likes people. Right. Like, it's just, that's it. Okay.
Because, like, yeah, they're coasting off of, like,
oh no, they're gonna fight. Man, you don't know. You don't know. Stop it.
So, like, and you can even tell by the way they designed the monster in 1998, because, like, this, like, hunched over, like, weird giraffe, like you said, iguana Godzilla, not that impressive to me.
Also, like, it danced around, like, the fact of, like, aren't nuclear tests horrible? Yeah. Because it made this thing. But other than, like, genetic, like, making it a mutant size of, a huge iguana, no other effects whatsoever. Right. So, by the way, now it's attacking New York City. We're not even going to touch that anymore. Right. We don't care about any of that.
Yeah, they were over there before.
Anyway. So, French fucked up. Anyway, now it's in New York City.
Now you fucked up.
Goodbye, Chrysler Building.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think that movie was actually forewarning us about 9/11. about how we were unprepared.
We were unprepared for Godzilla. We were unprepared for other events that we won't forget.
Let's put it that way.
That we won't forget.
Won't forget it 3 years later.
Another thing too, like
also another way that movie fucking aged horribly.
Yeah, you know what? I was just thinking about this because, like, again, because of how long Godzilla's been out, like, I almost didn't appreciate this enough. When he comes out of the water and you get that dun 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 dun, and like in my head I started doing like the Simon Says like rap song, but like, yo, yeah, it's a guy in a suit.
Yeah,
like that fucking piano sting or whatever that is like, it's on, bro. Yeah. Like they nailed that feeling of like the big monster. You tried it. Yeah. Tried shooting it. Okay. Didn't work. Guess you're gonna just have to watch this for the next. Get the fuck out. Simon Says, yeah, like it's so good.
Yeah, it is good. You know what? Although I will give it, 2014 had a great. There was some things that 1998 did very well. Like when you see Godzilla coming ashore, you're like, oh shit. Yeah. It really, like, the suspense buildup of Godzilla coming is very good. It is very good the way they do it.
Early
until you saw him,
right?
And then you're like, this is goofy as shit.
Yeah. Like right when they were still doing we're concealing the monster.
Yes, when they were doing the like,
it felt good. I was like, you're right. I was like, oh shit.
But then when in the 2014 when the Muto thing is destroying Honolulu Airport, and then then Godzilla shows up, and you just see the foot come down. Yeah. Through, and you're like, oh, Godzilla. Yeah. Godzilla here now. Yeah. Like that was actually very cool. Even though like all this like exposition that these guys are like, well, he's hunting them. They're fighting. Yeah, this is an ancient thing between the. Shut up. Like you don't know. You have no idea what. Just say you have no idea what's going on.
I know. Like. Yeah, 2014 is coasting off the fact that like all this Godzilla lore is baked in. Yeah. So like they're just like, yeah, he's a good guy. Like
he's a good guy.
But like here's the thing though, as much as people know about Godzilla, they actually don't. You know, like your average person really doesn't. No. They just know he's big and he's
green. Godzilla. He's got spikes. Like, he breathes fire.
A nerd like me who's talking about kaijus and calling it Gojira. Yeah, I know that like the anti-hero thing. Like I like. All that little lore that I follow, but like your average person really
they don't know that.
Thinks that Godzilla's like the bad monster that's going to kill everything. Like that's why they bought the movie ticket.
Yeah, you know? And it's like
I don't need Godzilla to be a good guy.
Yeah, I don't need him at all. Like I don't know why he is. Like what do you think? I'm not going to see him
trying to kill us? Like I think that if a giant monster was trying to destroy us, would be like, wow, that sucks. Yeah, and there's nothing we can do about it. But like, I guess cool. It happens to like us or want to be our friend, but like I'd rather him just try to kill us.
But at the same time, like, we started this podcast off saying, like, I love Mike Tyson. Do I really... If I walked up to Mike Tyson and he punched me in the face, I'd be like, that's about right. You know? Like, I don't need him to be a nice guy to me. I just love Mike Tyson.
Right. Exactly.
Like, the same way, like, I love Godzilla. I don't need...
It's okay if Godzilla's trying to kill him.
Yeah, I understand. It makes sense. He's a monster.
It makes a lot of sense.
He's a monster.
And that's the thing. Like, even though you made him the anti-hero, like, or in some cases the hero, you're still calling him a monster.
Yeah, he's the king of monsters. So what?
What are we doing, dude?
Yeah, it's like, well, you're the best of the monsters. Okay.
Which clearly, and I hate to keep bringing this up, but like this new Godzilla King Kong thing. Which, by the way, the King Kong lore is out of control too. Like the whole.
I guess we technically could remake that too. We could do that as a.
We can.
I don't want to do that. They did both of them. We did.
We'll think about it.
We'll think about that.
We'll think about it. But
because frankly, I can't. It looks especially awful. After watching these three in a row.
It looks awful. But like, what was I gonna say? Like, this idea of like. Yeah, Kong, Godzilla fight a little bit, and I'm like, oh, this other thing came now. They gotta take that thing out. It's just,
they're not the bushwhackers. Like, they're coming in here like, oh, fucking, get me, come on! Then they finally get in, fucking knocking people over. That was the best. It worked every time.
Oh, so good.
Every time it worked.
The radioactive slot bucket?
Yeah, they're like holding onto the corner, like, oh. Meanwhile, they're distracting the ref. They're coming in, hitting him with the chair. It works in professional wrestling. It worked every time. I really did.
So-
It's...
So, like, let's
let's bring it back.
let's pull it back in. So, your assessment of whether these films should exist.
98? Absolutely not.
No.
It should not exist at all.
No,
There's a reason why 2014 should exist. It should. And I get it.
Yeah.
I get it, but I don't think... I think if you wanted to... I guess you probably could make the allegory for this... Like, if I were writing a paper for, like, college, like a college essay or something like that, I could probably write a decent argument for this version of Godzilla 2014 being an allegory for climate change.
Sure.
I bet I could. And like with like, this other thing sucking off. Well, sucking off. Oh,
Sucking off.
That's not what I mean. This like absorbing all of the radiation from the world and like sucking the power of the sun. Like you could probably make, and then. But at the end of the day, I think the 14 missed the mark, but I do see the merit of it being around.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the problem that I have with the Avengers model of movies, is that they didn't make this movie to be Godzilla.
Right.
They made this movie to be part of these movies.
Right, I agree.
Like, Iron Man was a movie. Like, they made that standalone.
Right.
The original Godzilla was, we don't know. We have no idea what's on the horizon. But we're making this, and then they leave it open at the end and be like, he's not, I can't imagine that's the last one of those we're going to see.
Right.
After they kill him.
Yeah, it's one of the things too.
That's also, by the way, the fact that I knew that there were more Godzilla movies, I did not expect him to die at the end.
Right.
Like, I didn't remember that happening.
I agree, right? Like,
so it was like, I was like, oh, they got him!
I think with what Godzilla becomes over the years, because obviously we were talking about all these different iterations, and we didn't have to stop here. We could have talked about, I think Godzilla, -1 just came out?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's...
You could do so many of these.
People, and I am included in this, people love Godzilla. They love it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it too.
You know, I went online, I saw this little shirt, I was like, oh, it's Godzilla in the Dragon Zord?
Yeah, that's fine.
Need that.
But it's fire.
Need that. But 54 is like, of all of the movies.
Absolutely. It is important. Like, it's actually important in the, like, AFI important movies of all time. There's absolutely a reason why it was made.
Yep.
It had a message, and that message is important.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
it's something like, mentally, something to chew on, like the idea of, like, Japanese folks coming up with this story as they're, like, really, literally dealing with the fallout of the nuclear
less
war.
than a decade from getting destroyed by America dropping 2 atomic bombs on them, and the rest of the world going, yep.
Yeah. And, like, that's important. The fact that it's just a standalone film.
It's absolutely a standalone
Like, there's no need for we're doing it again. They're just like, this is what the hell we made.
Yep.
And it is fantastic. And started, like, an entire revolution in genre. Like, again, like, the Dragon Zord thing is part of it, too, because, like, Power Rangers and stuff comes from kaiju films. That's the reason why the Megazord gets bigger. Whatever. Like, there's all kinds of crazy influences that Godzilla's had over the years. It's so powerful that they keep making movies with Godzilla and King Kong. It's pretty damn impressive. 1998, if it was like a 90s film that had nothing to do with Godzilla, I think I would have been like, could have found reasons to like be okay with it. But because they butchered, look what they did, how they massacred my boy.
They massacred my boy. Yeah, I guess, not even then you would, because you would never go see it.
It could be like a generic ass 90s, which that's the problem with this film. It's a generic 90s.
Like, this movie made money because you didn't know what it looked like.
Correct.
That was and then once you realize that's how they got you there, because once you realize that's how they got you in that seat, you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fuck.
They
got me.
If you don't recall, because I know me and you do, like, the trailers and advertising for this, they didn't show you Godzilla.
You saw his eye.
That was it.
Yeah, you saw his foot.
And like, the way they showed that, it looked like they nailed it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, shit. They got it.
Yeah, they got it.
They got it. And then you watch the movie, like, they did not get it. They didn't even get fucking close.
I remember seeing this in the movie theater, and I remember, like, showing, there was later on, they had. I was in like a toy store with my younger brother, and they had the toy of the new Godzilla.
Yeah.
And by the way, they were like, "This is what Godzilla's gonna look like from now on." And then I showed it to my brother, and he was like, "What the fuck is this?"
I know. There's a template. Just follow it. You can't.
Like you guys again. New, and then what did they do? They went right back to the old one, just like Coca-Cola Classic.
Of course,
new Coke.
And to your point, like 2014, I think that there's so many elements that like maybe if they could afford Bryan Cranston the whole time, I'd be singing a different tune. But like this, like try to send off because like you know what that was. That was like we're gonna do a bunch of these movies. We're gonna have Aaron be like the driving thing, and they're like they even abandoned that
immediately.
Like that kid, he doesn't have it. Like I'm not saying, well, I am saying he doesn't have the star power. To be the face of the Godzilla franchise.
No.
Cranston actually did.
He did, yeah. He could have, but he wouldn't have done it.
I know he wouldn't have.
I mean, he might have.
Well, I don't know. Come up with a lot of money.
Yeah, you could have.
Like, there's some really good allegories in 2014. I think that because, to your point, that Marvel model, because they had to, like, play the sequel game, the movie suffers. And, like, they're so close to making, like, a worthy Godzilla movie.
They were close.
But they did not.
No, they didn't.
They did not.
And you didn't. If you wanted to redo it and like redo it right, I could see you doing that.
Yeah.
Like I could absolutely see that. With,
I would like to watch
technology.
-1 to see what they do with it. You know? It's just like, so, long story short, the remakes obviously shouldn't exist. And the reason why is because 54 had the perfect balance of humanity and monster.
Yeah.
Human story, dope. Serizawa's sacrifice, dope. The monster part, when the monster gets cooking, dun dun dun, dope. Dope.
Everything. Technology for what it is, it's pretty good.
Whatever, like
it's not great. It's not great.
Because it'd be the same as me like shitting on King Kong. It's like, okay, the original King Kong doesn't look real. So what?
Yeah, so what?
So
I know. I watch cartoons too.
Yeah.
They don't look real.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is that the 1954 Godzilla movie is actually worth a damn watch.
Oh, it's so good. It's absolutely worth watching. If you guys haven't seen that movie in a long time, because I know I haven't. Like, if you really want to get down to it, watch that again. But I'm not saying that there are merits to the 2014.
Yeah, there are.
Don't get me wrong. No, it's worth watching. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend watching the 1998 version again. Like when I watched it initially when it came out, I thought it was awful, and I rewatched it for this, and I really regret it.
Yeah.
Like, and the 1954 is an hour and 36 minutes.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
It gets right to it, and there's like a slight delay with like the reporter.
Sure.
Like he wants to like interview the dude.
Sure.
And I mean, that's like the only part that you can be like, you don't really need this.
But these other two films are over 2 hours.
Yeah. But they are 2 hours. Like 2 hours and 4 minutes and 2 hours and like 7 minutes. I will give them that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But like,
they're not like, oh my god, I'm here for 4 hours.
True. You don't need it.
No,
that's the problem. You don't need it. And especially if you are going to do it, more monster or like 98 would have done better with a
regular Godzilla.
Yeah, a regular Godzilla or like a later reveal.
But they used to they did like little things like when the cab exploded, he was roaring, and it made it look like he was breathing fire, but he specifically didn't breathe fire.
Right.
You know, you're like,
the whole thing. Yeah.
Come on.
And like,
what are we doing here? Who's this for?
There's no powers.
Yeah, nothing. It's just a giant iguana. He's a big
thing.
iguana.
It's kind of weak.
Yeah, the whole movie stinks.
Yeah.
Seriously, don't bother with the 98.
No, it's
then
not
go
worth
with
it.
the.
It's not worth it.
It's not even like fun.
No.
Like if you want to watch a bad movie, watch like fucking Twister or something.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Which actually we probably will be doing.
We will be doing because they're doing Twisters. We'll definitely be doing that. But the Godzilla 2014. I mean, it's worth. It's not.
Yeah, 2014 is fine because like the other thing too is like if you like 2014, which just because we're cynics doesn't mean you have to be. If you like that one, they make a bunch of other movies off it.
Yeah,
like it's a
I mean, you like Kong Skull Island's not bad, and then I don't know King Kong vs. Godzilla. I was not a fan of, but it's kind of.
I think in the context of being like a series, 2014 is like a nice like startup for the series. the problem is like 54 stands alone.
Yeah.
2014 is trying to like.
It doesn't necessarily stand.
Yeah, it does not. Well, but you know, that's what we thought about that.
Yeah.
That's what we thought about that.
It was great.
So I think I know what movie that was.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's Roadhouse.
Oh, it's Roadhouse time.
It's Roadhouse.
Let's go. Roadhouse, we're taking it to the Double Deuce. Let's go. This is the movie we're born to play. Born to do, baby.
We are built for
Literally.
it, my man.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Reggie and I have recorded on Roadhouse before.
Yeah.
And not necessarily of sober minds while we're doing it.
No,
it was...
We'll probably find that one.
Oh my, we'll definitely talk about it when that happens. The Patrick Swayze classic and the Jake Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal.
See?
He's
Conor McGregor is speaking of St. Patrick's Day.
McGregor.
Yeah.
That should be fun. That's so thank you for watching. Please
sir.
like, subscribe at Retroverse Remake on Instagram, at Retroverse Remake on YouTube.
Yep.
Find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can find Reggie on Instagram and Twix/X at RP Comedy.
That's right.
Or you can find me at Dan Farley 18 on Instagram or at Jersey Dan 18 on X. And
yeah, and you know, let us know who your favorite King of Monster is. Is it Mothra? Is it Rodan? Is it Gigan? Who knows what you like? But
I think the King of Monsters is Jeffrey Epstein.
He is
truly the King of Monsters.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for us. Have a great time. Have a great couple weeks. We'll see you guys soon.
Yep.
Take care.
Later.